Charlie. Charlie. Charlie.
She spends her time daydreaming. This isn't even the first incident.
She's been going through a lot with the divorce.
I miss how things used to be.
All my life I've been wild inside, always on the hunt for wider skies.
I love my kids. I would do anything for them. Trust me.
Anything?
Of course. What do you want?
I want a horse.
What's your budget?
A little over $300.
Pretty tight.
Wait, stop. What do we do now?
Need to find the owner. You can't just take him.
We can't just leave him on the side of the road. We could use your barn. Don't worry, boy. We're not gonna hurt you.
I just don't want her to get attached and then get her heart broken.
Heard you found a horse. We should go riding sometime. Have you heard about the junior rodeo coming up?
I don't really know much about that stuff.
You can learn.
I've only ever read in English. I don't know Western. Can you teach me?
Want something bad enough, it's worth working for.
I want it.
Gotta get your girl some boots. Can't keep doing this in her sneakers.
This is about to get out of hand.
I've been wild.
Hey, boss, you remember that horse that went missing? I'm sitting here looking right at it.
You and your horse are in the finals tomorrow.
I don't have anything to lose, but somebody expected to win, they have everything to lose.
Is that the horse you got from the Lost and Found? Good luck with that.
Hey, let go of my horse!
Hey, what's going on?
This horse belongs to me.
Better finish the rodeo. She's in the finals.
Not my problem.
We've got to get that horse back.
We'll figure something out.
My horse is out there somewhere.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm here with Lisa Chapman, and we got connected through InkTip, one of our lovely prize givers. Lisa, thank you for being with us today. How are you? Yes, how are you today?
I'm great. I'm in Florida, and it is Chamber of Commerce level weather. It's just blue skies and little breeze, and this is the part of Florida we don't complain about.
Oh, yay!
Yeah. Give me a month and a half, and I won't have that same thing to say.
We've been in the deep freeze of winter in New York, so yeah.
My neighbors down the street are from New Jersey, and everyone's coming to visit down here now because it's just ready for it. So
yeah. I have to look into that too. Yeah, either try to get somewhere warmer or find some friends in Florida.
Yeah. Exactly.
So I'm excited to speak with you for several reasons, because I think you're kind of a unicorn in this industry.
I think so.
So InkTip has always been so great and supportive of our festival, and I'm so excited they do such great things for writers. So I'd really love to hear your story for several reasons. A, you're a woman making it in this business, right? B, I think when you write something and you pass it off to somebody to direct, there must be a whole host of emotions and thoughts that come into your mind. So yeah, let's just so everybody knows, you've sold, optioned a lot of scripts on InkTip. So let's start there, I guess.
Yeah, okay. I started writing about now probably 2007, 2008. Somebody gave me a Sid Field book on screenplay, and I was just hooked because it's funny. I like to talk a lot, but I don't think in book form, and the screenplay seemed like such a clean format. I really like that, and I'm very visual. So I'm self-taught. I didn't go to school for this. A lot of books, a lot of videos. I was lucky enough to go to a Robert McKee 5-day story conference one time. I was working as a concierge at a pretty high-end property in Orlando, and we got employee discounts. So I got to stay at the Lowe's on Park Ave and go see Robert McKee for 5 days. That was a game changer. And then a screenwriter summit one time out in Vegas that had John Truby, and Sid Field was still with us back then, and a bunch of other really good screenwriting kind of gurus. But I was writing things, I didn't understand a lot about the constraints in terms of budgeting and things like that. So you write a big airboat chase scene or something, and nobody's looking at that. But anyway, so I'm very self-taught, and I found InkTip because I learned very quickly. Also, I bought the back then it was in the book form of all the different agencies, and I'm querying everybody, and no one will talk to you if you're not repped. So when I found InkTip, I was just thrilled because people will look at you on a third-party platform. What a great company they are, because the customer service is amazing. I mean, if you get a query or a director or producer emailing me, I'll get a follow-up with InkTip within the day to make sure that it didn't go to my spam filter. I mean, they care so much about the writers, which is amazing. So, of course, I got excited the first time somebody looked at a log line, and I'm just like, oh, I'm going somewhere. And then 1,000 passes later, somebody looks at a synopsis or something. So there's a lot of not understanding the business of how many times you're going to get passed on my end in the beginning. But at least I had a chance with InkTip. And their queer weekly leads newsletter is solid gold. That thing, I've got 6 produced credits now, and every single one came through the newsletter.
Wow.
Seeing what producers are looking for out there, and then learning to write a really kick-ass query letter myself. That's, you can't just, you've got to be able to sell yourself with this. So I reached out to different producers, and it's funny. The first 2 are with a producer that was based in South Carolina. The second one is my Heart of a Champion that was with this wonderful producer, Miriam Elchanan, that she optioned the script. It expired. 8 years later, she re-optioned it and made the movie. So I've got that. And then I've got a UK-based production company that is, one is out, one is due for release this Christmas, and they've just picked up a 3rd Christmas one and are talking about a Valentine's one that I'm working on. So my point to kind of all that is, one, use the platform. I mean, like I said, InkTip or find one, but use the platform, because people will talk to you if you're repped through the third party. But the other thing is, make really good relationships with the people you work with, because all mine are repeats.
Fascinating.
Yeah. I can call Miriam. I mean, I can call her cell right now and she'd pick up. We've stayed in touch, checked in on each other. She's LA based, checked in during the fires, things like that. So it's making these relationships so they want to work with you, that you're the one they think of when, oh, we've got a guy that wants a script about this, or I think Lisa might have one. So that's, to me, been really crucial, and just growing a thick skin and not taking it personally when you do get, because even if I write a great query letter and I think I can see this script, I know what it could be, and it just comes back as, if you hear it all, this isn't what we're looking for this time. Thank you. Good luck. So it's just not personal, but by not taking it personally and then blowing up their email with, oh, you don't know what you're missing out on, buddy. You just thank you for your time that you spent reading my script, because these people are busy. So that's kind of been my journey. Is I think the horse script, Heart of a Champion, got optioned in 2014, and then it was in theaters briefly in 2023, and now is streaming. So that's a long stretch. This is the marathon. It's not a sprint.
Yeah, no, really, I don't think people realize, and it's very difficult if you kind of just walk into something blind. I just did an interview recently with a directing team that spent 10 years on making one movie. So yeah, like, it's really, the attention to detail in a script, everything. But what I think people would really be curious about in hearing this is your query letter. So how do you make it shine? What's your secret ingredient, you think, that drew people? Other than, yes, the script has to be solid, of course.
They won't even get to the script if you don't sell it up front. So on the InkTip, it'll say, a lot of times they don't name the production company until you actually put in the code. But they're looking for a script. In my case specifically, a couple of them was a Hallmark style, family-friendly romantic comedy set at Christmas. And if they want that, boy, I put that in the first line. Hi, glad to hear this is what you want, because this is what this is. And I make it very personal. So anything that's in that lead, I use it in the first couple sentences to let them know I paid attention. It's not a form letter. I have my, in my file for each script, I go ahead and write the query in advance, and then I alter it, change it, edit, whatever, polish for each specific lead that shows up. So sometimes they'll say, we don't want Hallmark, but we want a holiday rom-com. And then I take that part out and say, this is very family friendly, but I can sass it up quite a bit depending on the streaming service. So I'm curious, you found this success through InkTip, like you said, third party platform. Would you think that the industry's kind of moved past needing an agent, needing a manager? I don't know. I think I could navigate some bigger ponds. I could be a bigger fish in a bigger pond if I had representation. I think all of mine budgets are like $500,000. So you can only do so much with that. If I had an agent, or what I'd really like is a manager, I think, up front, but someone that could maybe get me in front of a bigger person, bigger production company. And maybe now we start getting budgets that are like $1 to $5 million or something. And because you can really do a lot more with that. It's hard at the constraints at $500,000. There's a lot of I've been really lucky, though, I have to say. Every producer I've worked with has kind of held my hand through that to teach me what are the budget busters, working over water. Well, now we have to get extra insurance for the lens on the camera. Working with children, now we have to have tutors on set. So CGI, driving scenes where you're not just inside the car with something going, by. It's like there's so many, and Christmas movies, it's the snow budget.
I love it.
Yeah, the snow budget is crazy. So that's something to consider. So maybe we film a lot more indoors and we just maximize the snow. So I just feel so lucky that these producers I've worked with have been kind enough to share these with me.
Thank you. And thank you for sharing that with our audience. Now, I'm wondering, what help me see this, see you in that snapshot. Okay, you send the query letter, and so you get the nibble. So do you tell your high-end concierge hotel, do you tell them, I'm out of here, I'm a screenwriter now? What was that moment for you, your emotions? How did it happen? For me, yeah. Part of it is the hospitality industry in Orlando is very young. So I think I was peace out when my supervisor was 21 and still in college. And I just was like, I'm done. And also the industry just changed. You don't really need a concierge. Probably in New York you could, but if you've got a smartphone, you can make your own reservations. So I could just see that going. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to really commit to this. I'm going to commit to this is going to happen for me. And I think I optioned my first one the same within 6 months of quitting. Wow.
It was just, and I mean, that's not because I quit. It's just, it was timing, but it gave me the encouragement, okay, let's do this full time. Let's try and write 6 hours a day or something at 5 days a week.
I'm so glad you bring this up, because I think a lot of people, guilty here as well, have these ideas, but life with its constant demands. So how do you do that? How do you set aside time? Do you turn off the phone? Do you tell everybody leave me alone? What's your lifestyle hack to making that happen, let's say?
Well, one thing is, I've got the Audible book on writing by Stephen King, and he narrates it, which is just fantastic. But there's a section where he talks about his process, and he says, if you show up every day at the same time, your muse will know where to find you.
Oh,
That hit with me. And I was like, no, some people life, if you're a busy mom and, you're carpooling kids around, or you've got another full-time job or something like that, if you just carve out a little bit. I've got I'm old school with my like little Post-its and papers and everything like that. And I've got a Post-it by side where I write, and it says, if you write 2 pages a day, 5 days a week, you'll have a screenplay every 10 weeks.
wow.
And so that breaks it down into little bites for me. Like 2 pages, I mean, is a lot some days, but it's usually doable. And if you get on a roll and you get to 4 or 5, oh my gosh, you're way ahead of the game. So I can't say that I do that. I'm not doing 5 screenplays a year, but it does help to break it down a little bit like that.
Think in terms of characters, right? Like what are some of the favorite characters that you've come up with? Like, their personalities, their backstories. What have just some of the characters that really moved you personally, and you look and you say like, oh wow, that came out of me, like if you could just share that a bit. Yeah.
I always have favorites, and some of them are even in unproduced scripts that I've got a couple that I just like. I call them my imaginary friends. I really love people, but then a lot of it goes to the end result, which is not anything I have any control over. It's the casting director and the way that this actor was directed and stuff. But in Heart of a Champion, for instance, the casting on that it was originally called Charlie's Horse. And the girl's name is Charlie, teenage girl who is horse crazy. And that was me as a kid. And I was raised by a single mom. And there was a man that offered his barn, but then ended up marrying my mom. But the character of Charlie, I just loved this girl. And then they cast her with Yaya Gosling, a wonderful young actress. And she was only, I think, 13 at the time. And just seeing it come to life with this nuance, it wasn't overacted. It was just, how a teenage girl would roll her eyes if her mom's talking or something. So that was one of my all-time favorites. The British producer, there's only one out with them right now, but the other one is completed. I have seen the final on it. I have sort of a reoccurring, I mean, she's not actually named the same thing, but they cast Anita Dobbs, who is a famous British actress, who coincidentally is married to Brian May, guitarist of Queen.
Wow.
Yeah, so she brought something to life. So I think what it is it's when I have these ideas and then the director or producer and casting like nails it. There's one that is going to be filmed this year for the British people. I love this. It's kind of an ensemble thing, and it's another teenage girl who has become vegan and will only be called Raven. But then it turns out it's just to irritate her parents. So she won't answer. They'll say Emily, and she's like, "My name's not Emily," and fine, Raven. So I love that sort of rebellious young girl becoming a woman thing. I love those. And then I relate to the single mom things because I was raised by a single mom. So whenever I've got one of those in my script, I try and really make that a very dimensional character.
Oh, beautiful. A few things there. What has your relationships so it's optioned. Do you speak then with the director? Does he or she say, oh, well, I like this, but I'd like, to change that? Or like, how does that go? Walk us through that, because I'm sure a lot of people that want to follow this path are like, hey,
Well, yeah. And that was something I've been told that I take notes like a champ. because I want to see my work get made into a film. I don't want to have this precious thing that sits in a file on my computer and never sees the light of day. So if I had something that was like that I considered art or something, I would be a little tougher to make changes on. But ultimately, once you sell a script, it's not yours anymore. If you don't want to do it, they're just going to hire a new writer and do what they want anyway. So my idea is take their notes. If I really feel like something is worth fighting for, I don't fight with them, obviously. I just say the reasons. I try and make a case for why I think this character, and I've done that a lot. I don't think this would happen with this person, or I don't think it's necessary to bring in this side thing that really doesn't matter. So we've tried to stay true to the material. But having said that, I've never sold a script that I haven't had to take notes and make some changes on. I've got one I'm working on right now that takes place stranded in a blizzard at a bed and breakfast inn somewhere. And now all of a sudden we're at a completely different location because they got this great location. So I can either say, I don't want to do this and watch that project die in development hell, or I can take it. I'm not going to tell the location because it's pretty unique and they haven't made it yet. So, yeah. So my thing is you're going to get notes. So be prepared. And when I talked about having little kids on a set and then needing a tutor, there's been several cases where once I learned that, we aged up the characters. You can make them 12-year-olds, but you actually cast a 14-year-old that looks 12 that hasn't hit puberty yet. I think it's really important to be able to take notes and try to keep your vision intact while massaging this script into what they want. So done that quite a bit.
Beautifully said. Yeah, beautifully said. Yeah, everything has to be, open to interpretation, and like in this case, a location. Yeah. Oh, wow.
People just have to realize as writers, once you sell that script, it's not yours.
And to some, existential extent, I wonder if it ever was,
Yeah,
right?
well, ooh, that's going to have my mind bending all night. You never know where these ideas come from. I mean, some of them are, okay, somebody wants a Christmas rom-com. Well, there's a lot of tropes out there that have been explored, but there's still some new stuff that you can come up with. But, the horse one, I don't know. It just kind of comes to me sometimes like, just, I don't know, a thread of a thought. And you're like, well, I could run with this.
Yeah.
And then you rewrite it and rewrite it and rewrite it, and set it on a shelf for a while, and then come back to it and think, oh, this is crap, and rewrite it again.
Where do you stand on, or have you ever done this? Like you'll finish a draft and you'll share it with a friend. Do you do that? Or I know people have mixed thoughts on that. They're like, oh, well, that friend is, just gonna prop me up, tell me it's good just to, kind of Yeah, that's a good question. Don't have your mom read it because she's just gonna you're a genius. But it's really hard to find people who will read an entire script and give you quality notes. They're out there, but you usually have to pay them for it. And their vision may not be. I think script doctors are more like, this is what they think the story should be, so you should change it to that. But that's not the story I wanted to tell. So I've never paid for a script doctor. I'm very critical on myself. And I also find that by putting the script away for a week or two or 4, and then going back to it, you come up with a lot better ideas. But people get very prickly too with criticism. So if you were to ask someone to read your work and they give you their opinion and then you argue with them, they're never reading you again. So you just have to realize it's not personal. And some people don't know how to read a screenplay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Very true.
My sweet mom always says, I wish you would just write a book. It would be easier for me to explain. But if you get someone to read your work, just take the notes. And that doesn't mean they're right, but if you get the same note from 3 people, they're probably right.
Yeah. What's been your mom's reaction? Like you've mentioned, some characters have been, influenced by her. What has been her reaction to that?
When we got to go see Heart of a Champion in a real theater with my whole family, and there were things in that were very personal, like the name of the horse was my horse and things like that. Oh, she was just crying. She just was so proud. It's been really, when I started this and I quit my job to do it more, and most people are like, well, yeah, but how are you going to keep the lights on? People don't think you can do something creatively and make a living. And a lot of times that's true, but mom's always been like my biggest cheerleader. And I've got a real good friend you say girlfriend, but we're not really girls anymore. But the first option, she was here within an hour with a bottle of champagne. So I've got some really good support. And I know not everybody has that. Most people don't believe you can do this. So yeah, I think it's really important to have people that will encourage you without blowing smoke up your skirt.
Yeah. Another technique I know people employ sometimes, and I'm just wondering if you've done this, is get like a bunch of actors together and do a table read before you send it off. Have you ever gone that route at all?
I've never done that, but I did have a producer that was interested, oddly enough, in the horse movie, and she was based in New York, and it was during COVID, and she got a bunch of out-of-work actors together and did a table read, and it was, I cried at that because that was the first time I heard the words I wrote come to life. So that was, I think it's great if you can get it, but again, if you have to pay for it, be careful because it's real easy to spend all your money trying to get out there.
Yeah. No, that's true. I have another question, if you don't mind. I thought it was interesting. You brought up you're doing some scripts that are for UK audiences, right? What's the difference in tone, or are they looking for something different? That's a different market. So. Yeah.
So much so. For one, I almost always have to change almost every character's name.
Interesting.
Sam, and I can't think, somebody became Oliver, and so I can't, Megan is now Sophie or Tessa. So a lot of the names get changed, and their humor is quite a bit different. It's very dry and self-deprecating. So I've got a whole file of things that I Googled, just sort of British things. The other thing is, in my market, which is much more family friendly, not that I am always, but to be something, a niche that I'm able to sell in. In Hallmark movies, you never go to a dive bar. You don't drink liquor. You have a glass of wine at a bistro. The Brits don't mind going to the pub. So that's been something also. So there's just a lot of things. And for UK writing, I even find that the weather is sort of a side character, because the weather's always sort of the fog or the rain, or we get caught in the rain. And also transportation can be a bit of a struggle sometimes for things being on time. So that there's just weaving little familiar things like that in there, or looking up if an American would say, oh, what the heck? A Brit might say, oh my goodness. Or there's a couple that are really a little too obscure for me, and I feel like a fake if I'm trying to go too hard at it. But yeah, they give me great notes on things of how can you make this more British?
Let's get my bumper shoot while we go out in the rain.
Right. Right. Or would you like a cuppa?
What's that? Cuppa?
Cup of tea.
Oh, cuppa.
So you'll say a cuppa, or
they just blend the word.
Breakfast is brekkies, and beverages, drinks are bevies, and we don't meet at the whatever an American bar would be. Now it's at the Toasted Teapot or something, and make it. So yeah, it's been really interesting working with them, and you always hear how sharky this industry is, and I gotta say, everybody I've worked with has been fantastic. Very lucky on that.
That's so great. It's so great to hear somebody that's like, yeah, okay, as long as you keep a level head, understand the system and how to interact and communicate, like it doesn't have to be, a nail biting experience, nail biting, hair pulling, whatever.
Oddly enough, the only really bad experience I had was with the producer that did the table read, and it was the contract that was sent that was offered. And that's the other thing I would tell writers: either have a lawyer read those contracts or learn how to read a contract. There's plenty of good information out there online about it. I subscribe to like script. Well, was it? Oh, geez, I can't even think of it now. But subscribe to some of the newsletters and listen to it because they were offering a really bad package for me, like a 24-month option for $100 or something. And that's just not acceptable for me. I think people should believe in themselves. And also, don't sell yourself short. I mean, your hard work is worth something. And you see people optioning for $1, and I've turned that down. I'm not willing to, because not only does it cheapen me, it cheapens every other writer.
Brava.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the bar musician that sings covers, they were getting $300 a night, but some guy comes in and will do it for $50. Well, guess what? You just shot us all in the foot.
Yeah.
So, I think people should value their worth. Don't overvalue it. Don't be impossible to work with, but look at how much they're offering and look at those option durations, because you might have something that you could strike while the iron's hot right here. And 2 years from now, well, we're not making horse movies anymore. Or we're not making whatever it is, whatever your genre is. So, limit your time with these people. I usually give them 6 months and then an additional 3 months for an additional fee.
Brava. Yes. Good advice.
Because then I got to back out. The other thing I've learned is a lot of these producers want to pay you in steps. So they're going to pay you for the initial script, for a rewrite, for a polish, and then a lump at beginning of principal photography, and then another piece when it gets released. Well, guess what? If they don't ever get to principal photography, they've lost their funding, whatever, and now they're onto a new hot project. They own your script. You only got paid for half of it, and it's dead.
Yeah.
So I put that in my contracts: is if the film is not made within this many months of signing, it reverts back to me.
Beautiful. Yeah, I was just going to ask, because sometimes, you can't, you might have to charge get a lawyer to get it back. Yeah.
So the one bad experience was going to be things like that. And thank goodness I read it. I had a friend read the contract, and we sent back all of our changes, and we never heard from her again. So
see,
that's how that was going to go. Also, because I know a lot of this is about the writing, but if somebody really wants to be in it, you've got to learn the business part of it and the sales part of it. So you market yourself up front with your script that you've worked so hard on, but then learn the business. Be real careful about what you sign on for. And also know that if they're offering you back-end points, you're never going to see it. Never. Hollywood accounting, you will never see back-end points. So do not let people, lure you in with this shiny thing that it'll never happen.
That's another good tip. Yeah. I've seen a lot of people, like, oh, well, they're going to get so-and-so on it, and then it'll be really, yeah.
So, that's the part that what we want to do is write. If you're a creative, you want to write your stories, and you don't want to bother with the other stuff. But either you'll get hosed or you'll never break in at all. So I think and a lot of writers are not extroverts. And you've got to learn how to up your game a little bit, even if it's just turning on the charm for, a 30-minute meeting or something. But come out of your shell and be someone they want to work with is huge. Because I think that's what has helped me so much is they know they can count on me. I understand deadlines. I understand budgets. But I'm also clearly a talker. So it's good to be good in a room.
Yeah. Yeah. Even start with like little things like just practicing a conversation while you're at a cafe or something. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and practice your pitch with your friends. I mean, they may not read your script or be helpful if they do, but practice your, 60-second elevator pitch. Practice kind of a mini logline synopsis that doesn't take up more than 3 or 4 minutes of someone's time, and be like, does this sound interesting to you? And then what most people will say is, what you should write about my cousin. Well, no.
I wonder, one more question that I'll let you go. You mentioned logline, and I wonder, do you ever write from that perspective of let me write a logline first? I know that's like kind of something
not
people do.
Really, but it does help to be forming your log line while you're writing, because I've got one right now that I clearly need to revise because I'm leading with the third generation grandfather instead of leading with the estranged daughter, and I'm like, okay, that's my problem. That's why that's not getting traction right now. So for me, it's the log line is a part of it, but it'll usually be quite different by the end of the script.
I lied. I have one more question for you.
I can talk all day, so
okay.
This is on you. I'm good.
Thank you. Would you ever consider directing?
I think I'd like to be the boss and direct, but I don't want to really have to get bogged down with the technical stuff. So I don't know enough about that, but I have very clear visions about how I think things should look and be filmed and be shot. I try to write that in a way that I'm not directing the director or directing the actors, but that makes it pretty obvious. So yeah, there's been a few times that I hear the line delivered and I'm like, oh, there should have been a beat there. There should have been that slight pause. So I don't know. I would never rule it out, but I know nothing about that side of things.
Right. You get a good cinematographer, and you work together. I think,
Yeah. And I've only been on set one time, and it wasn't for one of mine. It was a friend was an actor.
Really?
Yeah, and it was kind of overwhelming to watch all the things that are going on the thing like that. But no, I wouldn't mind. I've got a friend in Atlanta that's a director, writer director, and I talked to her, and she said, "Oh, I don't know about the directing." She's like, you're in charge of so many people and you have to really boss them all around. And I thought, well, I would love that. I was a soccer mom. I can do this.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, I think we're good. I want to thank you so much. I think you're such an inspiration.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and thank you for what you do. And there's one thought I'd really like to leave people with.
Please.
Don't call yourself an aspiring writer. If you write, then you are a writer. And don't refer to yourself as aspiring. That is beneath you. If you write anything, you're a writer. Thanks.
Okay,
that's one of my absolute
mic drop.
I'm an aspiring mother. I'm an aspiring driver. What? No, you're a writer. If you write, you're a writer.
I have my permit.
Exactly.
I love it.
Well, this has been a real pleasure talking to you.
Pleasure's all mine. Yes.
So
maybe next year we'll do it again.
I would be happy to. Hopefully I'll have some more projects to talk about then.
Sword fight, king of the hill. Fireflies and jars divine, wonder bars and dungaree. Clumsy fingers chase the tadpoles in the bloody pond. Soulmate, wander the nipping shore. Season, quick in their pace.